We've got some breaking news for you now. Julian Leeser, the Shadow Attorney General and Shadow Minister for Indigenous Affairs, has just called a media conference for about 50 minutes' time. It is quite curious, and Kieran Gilbert, our chief anchor, joins us live now. Kieran, this is big. What's it about?
Yeah, he's going to resign from the front bench. That's the mail that I've been hearing, Laura. So, Julian Leeser at the forefront of the Liberal Party response to The Voice. He has been helping Peter Dutton try and navigate this. He's going to be gone from the front bench. He's going to step down. So a huge development for Peter Dutton, for the Liberal Party. But this mail is from very good sources, Laura. So, I'm hearing he will be gone in not too long a wait now, 11 a.m. He's going to put out a statement on social media, I'm hearing as well, in the next sort of 20 minutes, and then the news conference at 11. Must be a big decision for him to make. As you know, and your viewers know, Laura, as well, Julian Leeser has been part of this process for A Voice to Parliament for years. In fact, working with Pat Dodson closely in the early stages. He's clearly not happy with where they've landed, and he'll be gone from the front bench.
Yeah, just extraordinary, Kieran. You're right. He has been part of this process for quite some years. And look, he obviously is not happy with where the party landed, but I don't want to assume that. We'll hear what he has to say at 11 o'clock this morning. But I would say, from what we have seen from him in the last couple of weeks, leading the questions in question time, standing up at the National Press Club, talking about the alternative, really down and degrading and down, or talking down the Albanese government's model here, he hasn't exactly been complimentary to where the government has landed in a process that he was very much a part of.
Yeah, Laura, I think with his position, I think what you can sort of compare him to is, say, someone like a Frank Brennan, someone who supports the policy but has doubts about the way that they've put this together in terms of the amendment. I think that's the way I've been, looking at him in a very difficult situation where he clearly supports the idea of a constitutional recognition and voice to Parliament, but he has issues with references to executive government and the other form of words in there. So I think trying to pressure test or stress test the language in the amendment, but fundamentally he wants to back it. So I guess that we're assuming now this is where the motivation for this decision today, it looks pretty clear that's why he hasn't spoken to anyone for the last few days.
No.
Wasn't at that news conference with Peter Dutton and Susan Lee. Obviously a difficult move for him, but Julian Leeser to be departing the front bench. That's the mail I'm hearing right now.
Yeah, Kieran, it was curious as well, wasn't it? After, there was that difficult party room meeting for the Liberal Party. Peter Dutton, as leader, came out and said, well, the backbench will not be bound. They can have a free vote on this, but the front bench will be. It was curious to me that as soon as we saw that decision made, we saw the media conference, you say, from Peter Dutton and Susan Lee straight after that, Julian Leeser was nowhere to be seen. We could not get him on the program. He wasn't part of that media conference, and he hadn't made comments since. And his office telling us that he wasn't available for a week. Now, as someone who was such a critical part of selling that position, that has alarm bells ringing when you've been around Canberra for a while, doesn't it?
Absolutely, it does. And our colleague Andrew Clennell reported last week that Leeser had argued in the shadow cabinet that he wanted the parliamentary committee to sit first before they came out with their position. That's not what happened. As you know, Laura, this announcement has come before the Joint Select Committee on The Voice has sat. So he didn't win that argument. He did not get his way on that. And so the announcement was made. And as you quite rightly point out, an announcement that has bound the front bench to that stance. So is this a case of Julian Leeser can't live with that? He can't crack on with his job in that context? It certainly looks like it.
It strikes me, Kieran, as well. And look, we will wait to see the details at 11 o'clock. It's not fair to preempt all these things that we are discussing now, but more generally on The Voice, there is, and you can see it in the polls, you can see it within the Liberal Party. I mean, Peter Dutton really had no choice. He could have given the whole party a free vote, but the facts are that most of the Liberal Party room is opposed to this model of The Voice. They have concerns about it. But having a look at the Aston by-election result, the number of seats left in Victoria, and even the results since the last general election, it strikes me that there is not the political capital really within the Liberal Party room to kind of have this nuanced debate that is required. Since the Morrison government, there is a huge trust deficit with the electorate, perhaps some overreach in some other policy areas. So that is where the difficulty is for the Liberal Party. Yes, there are legitimate concerns, but I think looking at the conduct, and I would direct some criticism here to Julian Leeser. He asked one question in Question Time a couple of weeks ago about whether the RBA would have to be consulted before interest rate decisions were made. To me, that was overreach. And that was used, though, by some within the Liberal Party to say, look, they can't answer these kind of questions. Well, the RBA is not part of executive government. So they haven't quite found the sweet spot yet, have they, the Liberal Party, to try and argue in a nuanced way, in an effective way that would see the best possible outcome. Good governments, the best governments are when you have the strongest oppositions.
It's a tough, it's a diabolical thing for Peter Dutton to have to navigate because, as for the reasons you put it, you've got his party room opposed to it largely. I mean, this event today sort of shows you that it's not unanimous pretty clearly and dramatically with Leeser to go, but a majority of the party room back his stance. They oppose The Voice. A majority of the branches, the rank and file, they oppose it in large part. So how does he land this without annoying some of the membership and still allowing a conscience vote, I guess, for the backbench makes a lot of sense. Yeah. But the front bench being bound, that might be pushing it a step too far with at least one front bencher about to go, Laura.
Yeah, absolutely. Kieran, well, great to have you on AM Agenda this morning, and thanks for bringing us that breaking news. It is certainly a big development there. Kieran Gilbert bringing us that breaking news. Julian Leeser will be stepping down from the front bench. That will be live here on Sky News at 11 o'clock this morning.